Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Autumn of Healing Summit. Today, I have the immense privilege of speaking with Eileen Nauman. And Eileen is not only a homeopath, she's a medical astrologer and a shaman, and she's ex-military, and she's written over 250 books that's sold over 23 million copies. And there's more titles to that, but I think we would spend an hour just going over all your achievements, Eileen.
Let's just make it short.
Oh, and before we even start, I just want to tell people as well that you have a great YouTube channel where this incredible information that you have, you're really making a mission of sharing that with the world. So go check her out on YouTube. But mostly, I just want to say welcome, Eileen. It's so lovely to speak with you again.
Thank you. And I love you very much, Eugenie. And you do so much to help the world. I worship where you stand.
Oh, the feeling is 1,000,000% mutual. Thank you so much. And I can't wait for you to share with us about this incredible proving.
Okay, first thing that I want to say is I probably have blown everybody away on handouts, but I was having trouble because there's such a story to this particular, it's a shrub botanically, okay? They call it a shrub, but I call it a tree because it's 30 feet tall, or I think 3 meters. No, I don't know what meters are. It's 30 feet tall.
Is that about
And
10? I think about 10 meters. I'm guessing. I think it's 3 feet in a meter. So let's go roughly 10 meters.
yeah, it's 10 meters tall. Anyway, these photos that you see before you on this slide are all ones that I've taken over the years. And the one that's in the center is grandmother. She's the one who started the ball rolling back in 1992. And there is such an incredible why everything happened the way it did, because I met her in 1992, 2 years after I moved to Arizona. And as you can see, it's desert, okay? And then I would ride my horse by her because I was teaching full time and getting people who wanted to learn shamanism, and they would come from all over the world. And I'd have 6 of them at a time at my house for 2 to 3 weeks. And I would ride my horse because that was my 1 hour of free time where I could just leave everything behind and just ramp down and just be with my horse. And where we had to go was up on Deer Mountain, or what we call Deer Hill. And we had a lot of white-tailed deer that would come right by up on the top of that hill. And at the top of that hill was a grove of what they call Castella Mori. It is also the Spanish, the Mexican people, because this same tree grows in Sonora, Mexico, the state of Sonora, which is in northern Mexico. And they call it Chaparro amargosa, which means a short, fat little person who's bitter. Anyway, in 1998, I had 6 students come in and I took them up and we did what I call a vibrational essence, or a flower essence, or a shrub, or a tree, or a rock, or whatever you want to do it. We did it, and my 6 people were around the tree. And then I went and she has long spikes. I call them knitting needles. And I got a big thorn that is literally looks like this. And so I got the water that it's called a mother essence and took it home, and then I went and fixed it up, and we then had lunch, and then after lunch we sat down in my living room in a circle, and I put a couple of drops of the mother essence, which is 50% of the water that the tree essence substance was in, and the other half was cherry brandy, I think, because we want to fix it, and also that there's no bacteria when you start using alcohol. So I gave drops around everybody, just open their mouth and you drop it on the tongue. And then I sat down and put it in mine. And then for 15 minutes, we just let the essence come through us, and whatever we get, we write down. Long story really short is that 4 out of the 6 students had actual kundalini symptoms and ascending various parts. Now, kundalini, is only going to go as high as you have your chakras that are unblocked. So for some it was a little bit, and for some it was a lot. And that really got my attention because I've been doing flower essences or vibrational essences since 1990, and just It was just incredible. And I thought, I've got to do something about this. And I couldn't because I was teaching so much. And finally, in 1998, I got 7 people to do a stage 2. I have 3 types of proving. Stage 1 is where you actually go out into, the landscape and work with a flower or a tree or whatever and bring it back and make the mother essence. Or a stage 1 is a 7-day proving. Stage 3 is a 2-week proving. And once I got 7 people who volunteered, and they didn't know what it was. And we set it up like a homeopathic proving because I'm a homeopath too. And the 7 people all had kundalini types of symptoms coming up for them, all 7 of them. And this was a 1 week. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go for a 2-week. And I got 11 new people, and only one from stage 1 went over to the stage 2. So that actually 10 of them were brand new. And again, the same types of symptoms came up again and again. And so I don't know what I have with this tree. It is far beyond me that we started working together in 1992. And then it was in the year 2000 that I did, I think, stage 3, which was the 11 provers. And altogether, there was 18.
Mm.
There was 17 women and 1 man. So I asked her one time, because I'm telepathic and also telekinesis. And I asked her one time, I said, why didn't you just tell me what you did instead of saying you just had something to tell me? And she just said, there's a time for everything.
Mm.
And she says it wasn't time yet.
Mm.
And yet, look what's happening. I'm going to give you a lot of information about Castella. And it's right on the cusp of Pluto going into 0 degrees Aquarius on November 20th, 2024. And it's going to stay in there for at least 22 years. And that Aquarius is where the light comes in and where people start working together in teams and villages, and they share, and there's none of what's going on out there right now. Okay. It's done and gone, whether they know it or not. So she's arriving right on time because there are so many young people who are so hungry to understand about metaphysics or about mysticism, or, and this is the right time and place for it. And she knew it. Anyway, the center photo here is, I call her grandmother, and I'm going to continue calling her grandmother because Castella Mori is a mouthful. So I'll just call her grandmother when I know we're talking the same tree. The picture on the right here is her children. These are all children. If you look at each one, they're different heights and different sizes, and whether they're big and tall or thin and skinny. These are all her children. And there's a huge grove of them up there. And I would say there's probably about 30 or so of these amazing beings. And the picture that's on the left here is basically what this is what the dirt looks like. We're basically in a canyon, and Deer Mountain is opposite the canyon. And the canyon where we had lived was on the side of a 13 million year old volcano. It's the only volcano in Arizona, and we bought a house on the slope of it.
Wow, of
What are
course
the
you did.
chances?
That's pretty good with you.
Oh God.
Uh,
Anyway, the gravel and everything you see here on the left, okay, it's whitish. And if you just kind of dig through it a little bit, it gets very white and powdery. It's very alkaline. But below that, it is nothing more than basalt or lava that's dried, that's basalt. And so there's a lot of white rocks and black rocks. And I always look at things like that because the colors that are around there tell you something about the energy that's around there. So white and black everywhere. And that was about the balance and the harmony. And sure enough, you'll see here in the provings that it's all about balance. And it's her job, as she sees it, to get the person in balance as much as they can be, understanding that they are not perfect. None of us are perfect. We're in 3D, we're in the 3rd dimension. And so we'll never be perfect. But she knows when there is a time where she's got you cleaned up enough so that the kundalini can start rising and start moving through the different chakras at different times, because she's interested in you being the best that you can be. So with that, let's go a little further here. Okay, so this is the botany, and it's very short, because if somebody wants to look it up, they can go online and look up more of it. But it's found in the California deserts, it's found in the southwest desert of Arizona, and as I said before, the state of Sonora in Mexico. And the thing is that these groves are considered very valuable, and that there's these only 3 places in the world where it grows. But the deal is that the 3 groves they know about, they don't know about the grove that we had. It was a 4th grove, and they aren't even aware of it now, but it's a huge one. And I put down a pair of knitting needles, and I'm telling you that on grandmother, she's got knitting needle size just like this, with a thorn at the end that looks like a hawk or an eagle talon. And it's they're huge. And you can see from this slide on the right, the greenery. You don't want to get anywhere near it, because you get punctured by one of those needles, and you're going to hurt for a long time. But it's just an amazing thing that she's so standoffish, and yet there's this magic that she has, and she's just been waiting to pounce on us about it, I think. Okay.
I love that
It's,
photo of you. It's beautiful.
oh, thanks. That's my Missy, my 3/4 Arabian mare. And
Oh,
that's when we lived in Ohio.
wow.
And but anyway, as I was telling you before, I had 6 shamanic students coming to train for 2 to 3 weeks with me. And I took them up on Deer Mountain, and we actually did the proving on it. We made the mother essence, and they knew better. They know that, first of all, they have to introduce themselves to the tree or the plant, whatever it is. You're equals. You respect one another, and you give cornmeal as a gift in the Southwest, because corn is everything to all the Native Americans, all the indigenous people. So cornmeal is a present, and it shows goodwill from our heart to the tree's heart in this case. And she took us all around the corner because of that. And we sat up there and just meditated with her for 15 minutes while the mother essence was in a clear glass bowl. And I had already asked grandmother if I could snip off a little piece. And we're talking snipping. Now, scissors will not touch one of these branches or these crochet needles, whatever, or knitting needles, whatever you want to call them. So she said you can take some, and so I did, and I, cut it up and put it into the water, and that was it. And we let it sit for an hour, and we meditated with her, and then we went home. So the story behind her is that she would always ask me to stop, and I'd always say no. And I'm going to paraphrase this thing here. There is, by the way, a transcript on it. Okay, the entire slide thing is a transcript by itself, so that people can come back and reread this, and it will be one of the handouts that I have for them. Okay, so I'm going to skip around on this because there's so many slides, and I want to get it within that 1.5 hours. But most of the time, they get 7 inches of rain in our area, and that's it for the year. And she's like a pincushion. Nobody can get near her. And that's probably why they've been managed to live in that grove and grow and create more children as a result of that. Again, here's another picture of her. And what I would do is I would give cornmeal. And because the desert is so dry, I would also give her a quart of water as a gift. And that was basically it, and that's how we started the ball rolling on this, of finding out what she does. And the closest thing that I could come to was porcupine quills. That's what the Castella Mori shrubs look like.
Yeah, just for
Sorry, there.
everyone, Eileen's got incredible slides that you can also get as part of the summit package. So there's about 9 so not slides, handouts, about nine
Oh,
or 10 handouts that I think you've given as well. So if you do purchase a summit package, then you get all the handouts as well.
oh, okay. All right. That's great. But anyway, I just wanted, this is the quills on a porcupine are as close as I can get to what is every one of those little green things sticking out is a
Wow.
crochet needle. And that just right there, you don't want to get hurt. these photos again of Deer Mountain, and I just put on the right-hand side here about how we make a flower essence. This is a photo, it's not mine, but to show you how we put flowers or a substance like her knitting needle in there for a half an hour or an hour. And so I said, the scientists now know that water is a living being with 4 phases and it is alive. And that is so important. And I thought that the man, I can't remember his name now, who wrote and discovered the 4th phase of water, I thought he was going to be at this conference. So am I wrong about that? Or
I would think you're thinking about Bruce Lipton that's going to be at the conference, but maybe the 4th phase of water.
it's called he wrote the 4th phase of water. And anyway,
Mhm.
you can look it up and you'll find his name.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look
Yeah,
now.
I bridge the area between doing
Oh,
the flower.
Gerald Pollack.
Pollock, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dr. Pollock. Yeah,
yeah.
from the Washington University of Washington. Yeah. And always known water was alive. I didn't know and understand how he found out about it, but boy, he did a lot of good work. So this basically is about the information that I just told you about, how we undertook the mother essence and what happened. And I wanted to basically really get into the themes about this. I think the themes are so important. These are major themes, and I don't know how anybody else does their provings, but I not only to know who the prover was, but how many of the provers had the same experience or close to it. And one of the things you have to do is to find out what are the topics, what's coming up again and again. The more it comes up, the more powerful it is. And those are the people who really need it, are those major themes. I'm going to start here with dreams. Her number one way of talking to us is through dream work. And it's quite something because as a shaman, I don't dream at night because I'm busy in 4D plus doing other things. So I don't have time to dream. But she brings me dreams, but we'll get more into that as we go. And I said they're dreams of a spiritual nature, resurfacing of wounds that need attention and healing. She also brings up past trauma and shock through the dream state to work it out and to help you heal it. Dreams showing the way forward. There's also happy dreams. There's future event dreams. Precognitive dreams is what most people call it. 12 out of the 18 provers had these types of dreams. And they got pretty messy sometimes because some of those dreams were nightmares.
Wow.
But what the nightmares were was an actual past trauma that the person had either repressed or suppressed or didn't even know they'd had it. And they start having this dream over and over again. That's what she does. She brings it up. She's trying to get your attention so that you will look at it and also look at what the cause is, because, as we get older, we're able to look at things in a far larger and deeper way than we did when we were children or 18 or 19 in your 20s, even your 30s. So she shows up in lucid dreaming, in precognitive dreams, and astral dreams. And I want to stop on that for just a minute because this may be uncomfortable for some people. We basically have an astral body. And of course, Eugenie, you know that because we did a whole thing on astral bodies. And at night, your astral body is an exact duplicate of your physical body, only it's inside your physical skin and bones, okay? But it comes up and it comes out your crown
Crown.
chakra, and there's a silver cord between it and you. And as long as that silver cord is there, you're alive. If somebody cuts it, you're dead. So basically, in an astral dream, you can tell the difference between an astral dream and just what I call a brain dream,
Mm.
which means it's coming out of your head and looking at everything you did the past day. And so you're going to dream about something like that. But the astral dream, you can tell the difference because you will have all your 6 senses with you. In other words, when you dream an astral dream, you can smell it, hear it, taste it, and you will not necessarily have any of those functions when you have what I call a brain dream. All right. Grandmother's dreams fall into precognitive dreams, lucid dreamings, and astral dreams, not brain dreams. And so you really need to pay attention to that. And the dreams that she brings up, I always tell people to just take a little bit. And what I did the first night, I'm an herbalist also through family lineage. And I thought, I'll make a salve out of out of grandmother, that knitting needle. And I did, and I made about 15 1-ounce tins of it because I had other people that I wanted to send it to see what happened to them. But the first night that I had it, I opened up the little tin and I just put a little part of it, okay, little tiny piece right here where my brow chakra is. And I wanted to see what it would do because nobody knows the limits or what are the different things that she can do. And I woke up in the middle of the night with a nightmare, and it was an astral dream. And it wasn't really a dream at all. It was me out in the astral working with a team of mine because we work along what they call the boundary between light and dark. And the dark and the sorcerers always like to come over and sneak over and get into the light so that they can go put their little hooks into either your solar plexus, usually. If they want to kill you, they're going to put it in your heart. But basically, there's a lot of movement along the boundary, and my section is just one of them, and that's what I do at night. We make sure that they stay over there, and we'll stay where we are. And it can get really dangerous sometimes. But I woke up in the middle of that and I was soaked with sweat. And I was sitting there going, oh, because we were getting close to being in an attack mode. They were attacking, we were protecting. And it was so real. And as a shaman, you have a wall that is put between you with the 3D body, and that wall is there. And in your waking hours, you work in 3D. You don't know what's going on in 4D plus. This brain cannot handle both. All right. You talk about schizophrenic. And I was just, I thought, wow, why is grandmother showing me this? You know? And so I learned very quickly to treat her powerfulness with a great deal of respect, which brought me to asking Dr. Angie Lemke, who is a naturopathic doctor who I know. I asked her to make a 6X, a 12X, and a 30C homeopathically from the substance of grandmother. And I didn't want anything any higher than that. And so I started using 1 6X every night. I would put a pellet on my tongue and let it melt away. And she really began to spread things out, and I began to see different dreams and stuff and how they all had something to do with me. And it was in the growing up, the first 18 years of my life and that's where everybody gets their wounds anyway, for the most part. So dreams is everything. And if you start using this substance, you definitely want a dream journal and you want a pen next to your bed, and you will remember them. And if it's an astral dream, remember you've got all 6 senses that are working, and you can smell things, taste things, hear things. It's amazing. She works a lot in astral dreaming. So that's the first theme of hers, is she's going to dig stuff out of your subconscious. Whether you ever knew it about it or not is another thing. But once she brings it up, you need to start working with it and getting real, and not lying to yourself or saying, oh, I'm making this up. No, not with her. No. And you always have to keep in mind that she's doing, and she doesn't blow up your world, and she doesn't make it such that you can't do your everyday 3D job or whatever you're doing in your life. She doesn't do that, but she's persistent. That's one way to put it. And you have to look at these things. She's really good at digging what I call coal in the sock. And these are our greatest wounds that we have, that we may have been chipping away at them for years or decades. But if we really want to clean ourselves out and up so that we don't have to come back in another incarnation to deal with what we didn't deal with this lifetime, which we were supposed to and didn't, she's interested in really clearing the decks for you, to clean you up and to help, because as you work on your wounds, you are not going to be unbalanced like you were before. She's wanting to bring us into harmony first with ourselves. And it's a very powerful thing. It's a very loving thing. It's not nasty. It's not angry. There's no finger pointing or anything like that. So dreams. All right. A second one. And by the way, I would say all of the 18 all had kundalini symptoms from her. And that's pretty daunting when you are working with something and everybody's getting a symptom from it. That is highly unusual. And that normally doesn't happen. But with her, it does. And you don't want to use grandmother unless you're really serious about cleaning up your act, which wasn't your fault, but you had to get the wound because of other people or other decisions that were made around you that you couldn't control. But she's really interested to know what's going on with you and what are your dreams? What is your vision? What do you want to do? Instead of maybe society saying, well, you're a woman, you don't count, you don't have any brains, we just ignore you. You be a broodmare and you have children and you stay home and you cook for me. That's it. That doesn't work anymore. And she's really here to get us to also be dreaming about what is our vision for ourselves. This is so key to her. She's a visionary, but she wants you to be your own visionary and to go after whatever your vision is. Now, the next one was connection. And when you think about connection, you have a lot of words that are adjectives and adverbs that you can use. But what it means with her is you feel more aligned with the universal consciousness, with oneness and not duality. And I had 12 out of the 18 provers say something like this. And I put one down for everyone here. But, in the connection, it says a feeling of being connected with all things, just more tuned to non-human in nature. And then the 13 is the number that was assigned to the prover. If there was something in parentheses, then that meant that it was an old symptom, a new symptom, a returning symptom, an unusual symptom. If they had anything in the MT, before I ever knew that her botanical name was Castella Mori, I used to just call her grandmother, but then I knew that when I started to doing the proving, I had to have a name, and the name that they called them there where we lived was Mormon Tea Tree, MT. So that's what the MT stands for. Anyway, okay, the next one is energy increase, and this could be mental, emotional, physical uptick in energy. And 8 out of the 18 experienced that. And one of the provers said, I seem to have abundant energy during the day and have been able to get everything done that I need to, as well as extra things done that I usually don't have time for. Now, I'm going to tell you something from a shamanic standpoint on this. I didn't put it in here, okay? I'm writing a book about this, so I will be putting it in the book. When somebody says that they got everything done in their day and they got even more done, okay, because they're taking this essence, well, you know what that really means? That means that you are slowing time down and allowing the person to do more than they would normally. Shamans can stretch time and they can shorten time, okay? It just comes with the job. And so that's what this person was actually experiencing. And that's where things need to be explained from a metaphysical standpoint. Okay, so chakras, all 7 chakras were related in the human body were found in these provings. And the more activated ones was the heart chakra, because she is pure love. It and yet she's got all of these crochet and knitting needles with these thorns, and she's pure love. And she wants to work with us. And you will feel that love. It's an amazing, amazing thing. It is a kundalini kind of love, which means there's no dualities. There's just oneness, being one. And if you've ever felt that, and I've been very fortunate to have felt that, you never forget it. And you always want it back or again. And so the other one was the sacral chakra, which I thought was really interesting. And the throat chakra and the crown chakra, 8 of the 18 experienced the heart sacral, and 6 out of the 18 had a lot of movement with the throat and the crown chakras. Now, these chakras is very important because they're front and back, and I do have a handout that shows Chakra Man, and it's my drawing, but you'll get what it means and everything. We have the same thing in all of us. Emotions, emotional swings, a deepening of emotional experiences and or emotional wounds will be brought to the surface to work through, and 8 out of the 18 experienced that. She is number one, she's from the spirit, but she also knows where all the wounds are at, and they're in the emotions. And so that's why she is so good about the emotions. And she doesn't beat you over the head with them either. It's just she just works in amazing magical ways that I can't even put into words. And for instance, one of the proofs said, I am feeling stronger in myself emotionally this week, and this is making me stronger emotionally to my family and myself. That's pretty good. That's an amazing thing to say and to feel that. And we all can feel that. It isn't that this one person, and 17 of the 18 were women, so it was probably a woman who said this. We can have that kind of joy, and it truly is joy. And she brings it to you also. She's just a wonderful grandmother. And another one said emotions are much calmer, more balanced. And again, as I went through the provings, the thing about balance and harmony were always there. Okay, so some other major themes of grandmother was resurfacing of traumatic memory events in life, PTSD. And I said the wounds are brought up for healing to the conscious mind of the prover, and they're no longer repressed or suppressed or swept under the rug. And most of the traumatic memories showed up under dreams and synchronicities. And this one prover said overwhelmed by emotions, sadness, and depression. She brought it up in the person to look at it and then ask, where's this coming from? What happened? And try and get in touch with it, which she will if she continues to take grandmother. There's also a focus on heart, emotions, and love. 6 out of the 18 experienced that. A couple of the provers, one said, by letting myself really wallow in these intense emotions, I found epiphanies. So when she's working with you, she's also helping you to develop a greater, wider, deeper understanding of what that meant for that person. That is so healing. That is so healing. Then another prayer said, I surely feel the essence brought these emotions to the surface again. New was also this voice inside my head, stopping me from drowning in misery that was partly based on, quote, false assumptions, unquote, or a distorted cognition. Something like this. And again, these are two different provers. It's not the same one, okay? She goes for the gold on the emotions, but not only does she bring it up to you, usually in a dream, and you look at it, and as long as you don't refuse to work with it, she's going to work with you. Now, if you don't want to work with it, she'll walk away. She's interested in fine tuning us or tuning us up to be all that we can be. And then I said the Kundalini awakening or the Kundalini movement through a particular chakra occurred in all 18 provers.
That's
This is
unheard
just
of
stunning.
in the proving.
I know, but it's her power. She's a deeply spiritual being, and yet she looks so horrible. She's ugly, and she's got thorns and porcupine quills. You just don't know. And that's what I love doing the flower essences. And this one prover said, this is spiritual plane essence because it triggers Kundalini. A second one said, bees all around the tree, heard bees, buzzing and strong sound, noise around head, Kundalini experience with crown chakra. Now, these two that I just read are from the same prover, okay? But here's another prover. And she said, felt like pressure on top of my head, my crown chakra, classic Kundalini. I had a lizard around. Fire lizard is symbolic of Kundalini. One was running around her. I felt like I could fly. Sounded like constant buzzing sound. These are all strong kundalini reactions in the person. And this is just from taking the essence, the mother essence. All right. Just, I don't even want to go and look and see anything above a 30C, because I think that there's so much garbage in each of us that has to be cleaned up and cleaned out and looked at and worked through,
Mm,
that we're not ready for anything over a 30C. And
mm,
I really mean that. I think the 6X is an excellent base to start from. And you will know when to climb to a 12X and then a 30C. I would guarantee most of the people that I know are all metaphysically or spiritually oriented. They're going to be up and running probably by the time they hit a 30C. And again, with the X's, I take my pellet every day, and it has helped me so much. It's amazing. Everybody keeps asking, Eileen, why are you so different? You used to be like this. Now you're just, you don't worry about anything, and you just
oh,
let it be and don't get involved because it isn't yours to get involved with. It's almost like she's a guardian of all of us, but she's also a hound dog that sniffs out where the dead stuff is in us that needs to be cleaned up and cleaned out. Okay, this is another major symptom. All right, dreams was the first one. The second one is called synchronistic events. Now, the synchronistic event to me is a double check. And I wait for it because I always get it. If what happened is what I thought happened and I was right about it, there's always a double check. And that's what I put here. I wanted a specific type of synchronistic sort of thing going on where people would take it and go here or there, everywhere. No, don't do that. It says it's about spirit, it's about source, it's about cosmos, and it is deeply spiritual. And that you are in alignment with your heart and your intuition, which is the voice of the heart and part of that healing process. And I said, heart first, mind a distant second. And I said, I gave an example in this. I said, a song plays that mimics what you're feeling or thinking about or has happened to you or another. And I said, it confirms something for you. And again, we call this a double check as shamans because we really have to have them out there sometimes. And it will move you forward since we've gotten a response from the cosmos. So when you get a double check, it's like a green light goes on and says, do it. And if you don't get that double check, you don't do nothing. You just stay where you are. Okay. And I said, when the Kundalini is up and running, synchronistic events occur nearly every day or every few hours. It is source. Okay. Source means whoever you believe in. All right. It is source working directly with you. See, this is where the duality stops existing and the oneness begins. That's what synchronicities are. It's the oneness. And I said 12 out of the 18 provers had symptoms regarding synchronicity. And a couple of the provers, one says there has been a series of events unfolding. I have been getting a lot of opportunities coming my way pertaining to my business. After a very long time, things are opening up all at once. Feast or famine? Now it's feast. This second purpose says, I'm always aware of the flow, synchronicity in my life, but seem to be especially perceptive to the events of connectedness. Third one, while standing outside of my office, waiting for the elevators to go down, all four elevators opened silently at the same time. And she says, a very strange sensation went through me like an electric shock, a shiver. She said, it was suddenly cold, and I sensed that I had a very important decision to make, that all avenues were available to me, but I had to decide which one to take. While riding down the elevator, I kept thinking how utterly bizarre and almost frightening that had been seeing those four elevators suddenly all open at once on the same floor. During this whole week, everywhere I look are stories, articles, pictures, people talking about choices, helping roads. I don't know about helping roads. It must be something about a road, but I don't know what that means. But what are the chances of four elevators in a skyscraper all four opening on the same floor at the
That's
same
very
time.
freaky.
That's never happened to me.
No.
And that's how she works. She works subtly, and she works with what you will notice.
Mm,
What if I see a turtle, boy, I really perk up. And other people, they saw a turtle, they wouldn't think nothing of it. They just blow it away. She works within your framework of where you're at, but she's always wanting to delimit it.
mm,
She wants to take away anything that's stopping you from stretching and going into this newness of what else you can do. This is what's so exciting. She's showing you daily. When I read all of these provers things, I went, oh my God, this is incredible. And it's like she's simply showing you the way that will be a comfortable way for you to do it, to get
mm,
to from A to Z.
mm,
Okay, then there's another prover. I have been having a lot of synchronistic things happening lately. Yeah. And then another prover. Lots of things got broken in the house after I stopped taking the essence. Wonder what that means. Okay, pay attention. That's what she's saying. Pay attention. I'm showing you something. And this is all about being more engaged with who you are and listening to your emotions and your feelings. All right. So again, one of the major symptoms is dreams. And I said the spiritual nature or resurfacing of buried wounds. We've gone over that. But I wanted to get into the kundalini takes the dreaming and dream work to a high new level. And kundalini is always wanting a spiritual opening for you to go from duality to oneness. That's its whole thing. And everybody has kundalini. There's not a few people who you deem to be saintly that has it. Every one of us has it. So that means that Source wanted us to grow and become more spiritually connected in a 3D world, but we're going to take it to new highs and to different places that it could not have gone before. So Kundalini is open to everybody. It isn't for a few. And I hear this all the time, and it's no, you're wrong. If we didn't have it, that Kundalini wouldn't be in everybody's tailbone, and it is. But anyway, not only is it the new levels, the spiritual openings, the lows of dealing with the wounds that stop us from becoming even more enlightened and working through them instead of repressing or suppressing them. Now, here's three, well, there's quite a few here. All right, first prover, dreams, vivid, past childhood experiences. Okay, it's, believe me, 0 to 18 years old, perk your ears up. This is where most of our garbage is at. And she says, past childhood experiences, long ago lovers, people. And another prover, dreams very vivid colors. I heard this over and over again. And that means that when dreams are brighter than normal, that's an astral dream. So just pay attention to that. And when you create and understand those two things go together, then you really want to look at that dream and you really want to start digging into yourself more and asking questions or going back over something and maybe seeing it in a new light, which is what she does. She turns on the lights. All right, a third one, dream brought up issues of not having food to eat when I was young and eating ketchup soup. My overeating issues today. All right, so what grandmother's doing here is bringing up this girl was probably starving to death sometimes, and all they had was ketchup. And that really sets somebody up for a lot of blockages as they grow. And now she overeats, she overcompensates for what she didn't have as a child. Grandmother will work with her and get that straightened out. See, this is how she works, is always through the dreams. Okay, another prover. Continual strong dreams, more like nightmares. People appeared and started yelling and shooting at us again. I woke up shaking. Yeah, I had one of those with her too, only I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, she'll bring these things up too, and there's a reason for it. The next prover, dream, reoccurring female figure, and I knew her. She would be my granddaughter in real life, and I knew this before she was born. I told her parents she would be a girl, and she was.
Oh,
That's sweet.
yeah.
And the next prover, I felt frantic, afraid, utterly lost, and despaired, angry that I couldn't find where I was supposed to be. I kept getting lost on the labyrinth and heading the wrong way, skipping lines. Now, this person is When I hear something like this, I always think that this person is actively, consciously looking for a more harmony or balanced way of living, that they are uncomfortable where they're at. And so this person is starting to dig. Grandmother is giving this woman a shovel and go to work. Okay, keep going. You're doing fine. And then the last one, another prover, said staircase was a better option, and it took me somewhere. And she, sometimes grandmother leaves what I call little tidbits along the trail for the person in dream after dream. And I have never seen anything that has caused dreams like this. And this is just some of them. This is not all of them. Just amazing stuff. Okay, so the next major symptom is connection. And it's feeling more aligned with the universal consciousness, oneness, the duality is gone. And 9 of the 18 provers experience this sensation. And I said, this is a common kundalini development, a oneness with all life, seen and unseen. You connect them. You want to work with both of them, and you can simultaneously when you're one with them. It's hard to do if it's duality. It won't happen. But here's provers, a feeling of being connected with all things, just more tuned to non-human and nature. So she's being gently brought over by grandmother to say, go take a walk in the park, go take a hiking trip, or play with your kids and get them out into the woodlands or something like that. All right, this third prover, more connected to nature. I don't usually take time to watch birds or notice the sweet smell of flowers blooming. So the essence increased these awarenesses, I think. Yeah, for sure. Another prover, I am feeling more connected to everything around me, especially the feeling of peace in nature and my children and family. I want to spend more time with them and to relax and enjoy them. See, this person is just going from one level and just made a huge step up with that realization, okay? And I'll tell you about this sense of peace. This is the thing that has helped me more than anything else, is that she's giving me peace on a lot of things. And that's why everybody keeps saying, Eileen, are you all right? You're not acting like your normal self.
Oh,
But it's a sensation of peacefulness, and it's beautiful. And it allows me not to get connected into things that I really can't change. And yet I have very strong emotions about. Okay. And that has helped me a lot. I sleep better at night that way. She says, another prover here, I feel more connected to all life, humans, nature, and spiritual. It is like a blanket was removed, and I feel like I have been welcomed into a large, warm, loving embrace. Believe me, that is grandmother. That is that just that one sentence, it's her. And that's what she brings to you. And then the last one here, more connected to humans, nature, and spiritual world. This was a feeling and overall place that I was in. I received what seemed to be even more messages via the winged ones, birds. I was surrounded with birds this week at home in Arizona. So you can see her working here with different people and what she's bringing out in them and what she's bestowing upon them, because they're willing to do the work. This essence helps you open up so you can do the work if you want to. And if you don't, she'll bypass you. She doesn't have time for people like that. All right, so the next one, we just did that one. Yeah, okay. Another major symptom was the heart chakra. She's all about love, and I've seen it in so many different ways. And the heart chakra is the center of our being. It is primary, it's never secondary. The heart's voice is your intuition, it's your gut hunch. Don't ever not do it. And 8 out of the 18 experience this. And the Kundalini opens up the chakras. And as the Kundalini is able to come back and forth like a snake moving, it goes from me and I to we and us. The me and I, Pluto and Capricorn, okay, because it's all about authoritarians and greed and control and money and power. Now, with Pluto going into Aquarius, literally, we're going to become the we and the us. We are family. We're a global family, whether you like it or not. And but she's paving the way for this. She's right on time to be coming in directly to us in 3D and saying, hey, I'm here and this is what I can do for you. I want to, and let's see, the 4 lower chakras are about living in 3D, which is true. And we have 9 chakras in total. We have 7 that deal with the physical body, but the 2 that are above it have to do with our incarnation template and planning of what we want to do and accomplish or learn in this lifetime. All right, so here's some of what the provers have said. There is a palm chakra in each of our hands. I said sometimes it gets activated after taking the essence, and there's a physical symptom also when they take the drops, or if they take a 6x of her. And colors appearing, she said, are purple and yellow. Physical sensations in the third eye, the crown, the heart, and then she adds intuition and clairvoyance and third eye. So this particular person, approver, was getting a lot of kundalini motion. The next one said, feel movement in my heart chakra. That's good. And the next one, heart open, more loving and caring. And then this next prover realized that sometimes I act like an eagle and want to swoop down fast to get at my prey, and how capable I am of hurting people and how I get hurt. Now, she sees where her wounds are at. Okay, this is Woundology 101. And then she says, an eagle appeared to me. And in parentheses, she puts, he was huge. And we talked, and he tore away crap from my heart chakra like he would tear at a prey he had just caught. After that, all kinds of gunk came flowing out, and I merged with the eagle. He left me feeling open and connected to Great Spirit. It was a wonderful experience. This is one of her dreams that she brought to this person. You can't buy these things. You can't make them up. It's just an incredible breakthrough for her. And then lastly, this person says, my heart chakra has been opening up more. I can feel it vibrating. And when Kundalini does go through your heart, there can be palpitations and stuff. And no, you're not having a heart attack, but it's very hard to tell the difference unless you are a metaphysician or you're deeply ingrained in some kind of spirituality like yoga, where you would feel that and you would know what it was. But otherwise, it can scare the living bejesus out of you. Okay, so I wanted to talk about major symptoms of the sacral chakra. I said it's located below your belly button. It's about learning partnership with others. And I said, do you give too little or too much? Learning in a family, with friends, with colleagues, with those employed, strangers on the street, or even going to the grocery store. It's about learning to monitor your energy, what to keep, what you can give to another. For women, it is ground zero because they are the givers of life on this planet, and women are sacred because they birth life. And I said their entire reproductive system, for the most part, is in the sacral chakra, and some of it is the vaginal area is in the root chakra. And it's all about life, flourishing, sexual, it's creativity, it's birth, and it's so much more. For men, it's about learning to be emotional once more, showing all your emotions, not just the toxic masculinity, anger, rage card that you were brainwashed with as soon as you were born. And I said, for the last 2,500 years, we've lived in a patriarchal male world of misogyny regarding any female, young or old. Women are not valued in our society at all, period, even today, for sure. But we're not taking it anymore. And we're standing up and we are going to do something about it for sure. And I said, there are so many more emotions men rarely express, and they must learn to do. Learning to cry, for example. God gave you tear ducts. Don't you think that you should cry too? Come on. Get rid of the brainwashing. Let your emotions flow, because that's part of healing. And I said, learning to be a partner in a matriarchal team, where both partners who respect each other as equals. And I said 8 out of the 18 provers experienced this chakra and those types of feelings. And the prover that I chose here, she said trunk-like, multiple trunks, no center to it. And then she puts shamanic journey. Okay, what this woman is doing, she is a shaman. It is not me. It's one of my students. And she asked permission of grandmother if she could take a journey into her and to move into her roots, and she could talk to her, hopefully. And so she says here, I had an orange red color. Now, again, orange is the sacral, okay? And red is the root. And she says, roomy, smooth inside, but had pockets. Went into the root, long and deep. Stem, up above, orange, yellow, rigid. Those were the knitting needles. I had a quick flash of purple and then went yellow. It loved its environment, loved its surrounding, and it wanted to be loved. I want to be loved and appreciated. Feminine feelings. So she nailed grandmother's modus operandi right there. And said, note, this prover is a shaman and clairvoyant, so she's giving us detailed information after receiving permission to enter grandmother in order to be educated by her. The shaman is asking for help in a particular area. The color orange, which is sacral, red, which is root, purple, which is the brow, and yellow is the solar plexus chakras. We're all involved with her journey down into the tree roots. I said, this prover had a loving experience with grandmother, and it was being received and given to one another. She also asked for what was still missing in her life in some way, to be loved and appreciated. And on another sensing level, she felt the tree was feminine, and I would agree with her on that for sure. She's absolutely feminine. All right, moving on to the sacral chakra, because it's so important in what she's working with us. I feel like the only chakra that has been open and fully functioning this week is one that's just below my belly button. It has felt hot and blazing all week. In stark contrast to last week, only this one has been open rather than all of them. And I said, no, the proving essence may well play a part in this happening. Essences like homeopathic remedies focused on healing. And I said, in this prover's experience, it may be a cleansing of the chakra, perhaps maintenance work on it or a partial block, or that the essence is bringing attention to it for the person to investigate their symptoms further. And that was one prover. The second prover, at night, I noticed the essence affects my ovaries and sacral chakra. I have a warm and spinning feeling in the chakras. This symptom already appeared a few days ago. It happens once in a while. I haven't felt this for quite a while. It is pleasant. And anytime you see red here in the slide program, that's my notes. That's my information that I'm adding to whatever the prover had to say. And I said, Kundalini has awakened in her and is working with the second sacral chakra below the belly button and her reproductive area. And this is what it can feel like. The sensations, they're very nice. All right, let me see if there's just so much information here. And
Yeah,
thank goodness this is all in a handout that everybody will get.
amazing.
I wanted to put this in. It's a word of caution on dosage.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm in the middle of writing 2 different materia medicas on grandmother. I decided to continue to take the 6X homeopathic remedy because I was writing the rough draft. And it had been in the year 2000 when I'd last taken the ME or the mother essence. We made fresh ME in 2024. And so after that, then I made the salves. And then I had Angie Lemke make up the homeopathic remedies.
Mm.
And I said, the skin absorbs, and we're going to talk about salves, okay? So the skin absorbs the constituents directly into the body via those layers and then into the capillary beds and then on into the arteries. I said, if you want to get an herb's composition, its nutrients, its chemistry into your body, there is no faster way except a homeopathic remedy to get that. And I said, both go directly into the bloodstream and bypass the digestive system, which can eliminate and diffuse or destroy or break down some of the herb's substance of what it is due to the chemicals found in the stomach and the acids that are there. So that's why I decided to do a salve, because it's the gentlest route. The 6X is a little higher, and then the 12X and then 30C. Okay, this is important. I said, if a person has suffered a shock or trauma from 3D in this incarnation, or it could be a past life, but they're bringing it back into this one to work with, she will make it it conscious in your dreams or in a series of dreams. Grandmother will. I said, this is her main mode of communication with you, and it will either be dreams or synchronistic or connection events that will also aid in your healing process. And I said, because she wants it out of our subconscious where it's doing damage to us because we don't know it's there. It's a poison. It's a toxic thing that is stopping us from being all of who we can be. And this is her point. And she said, if your wound is repressed, the dreams you will get will show you what your brain decided you didn't need to remember, some or all of it. And of course, what has shocked or traumatized or hurt us physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, it is a poison in her eyes that stops us from becoming as whole and healthy as we can possibly get in this lifetime to enjoy the gift of our kundalini rising. This is what she's really after. And I said, grandmother's whole foundation is better out than in. She wants the person to be as healed so that she can begin to work with your various chakras on the front and the back of you and get you to a place where harmony in order to connect more deeply with spirit. That is her number one modus operandi. And this was really important. I said, do not give this remedy to anyone who has a mental illness. 1 in every 8 people in the world live with a mental disorder. And they're defined as anxiety, panic attacks, depression, PTSD, schizophrenia, disruptive behavior, dissocial disorders, neurodevelopmental disorders, bipolar disorder, acute or chronic psychosis, addictive behaviors, so on and so forth. If this person is under a doctor's care, I would say that's fine, but I sure would not be using grandmother on them until they were at a very stable place within themselves and they were very solid and grounded. And if they aren't, I would not give this remedy to them at all. It's not going to work well, in my personal opinion. And anyway, I said the slideshow presentation is a work in progress, but I wanted to give homeopaths and those who are on the cutting edge of energy medicine a brief overview of this incredible tree essence and to know her story. And then homeopaths are interested in substances placed in water being brought to life by the sun's energy, the magical water converting it to a vibration. And they are trained otherwise. And I said, homeopaths are taught to success a substance. I hope everyone will gain a new respect for a simple, straightforward essence, a glass bowl, water, the substance that you're going to use, sunshine, work together to create a deep, broad picture of it. And I said, be it a flower, a shrub, a tree, a rock, etc. I said that its qualities and abilities can be utilized to help people heal. Homeopaths aren't the only ones to do approving, and this tree has produced some very exciting possibilities in the spiritual and metaphysical realm. I said it took 26 years for grandmother's proving information to come to light, and information arrives at the time people are ready for it. And one thing grandmother told a prover, and this is grandmother's words to her, she said, I can assure, please understand me. I can enjoy life with you if you open your heart to me. To grow, you have to break some shells and it hurts. But there is life within you. Try to get out and see the light. That's grandmother. So she's there to back you up and help you the very best that she can. And that's it. There's free gifts for all of you. There's 10 different handouts, which actually are pieces and parts of the book that I'm writing on it. They are copyrighted, but it's an adjunct to the little bit that I've given you tonight. And also, I have made 2 materia medicas. I know that's unheard of, but I always do new things.
Most of
And
what
this is,
you do is unheard of, Eileen, so I don't think
I
anyone's
know,
surprised.
that's true. Guilty. But when I started reading all of the provers' information, before I had all of this information in front of me and I knew what it was, just sorting it, I was thinking, my God, there are so many kundalini symptoms, either chakras or actually having a stirring in the tailbone or an actual partial rising of the warmth that comes up the spine or coming through some of the chakras and being stopped because the chakra that they want to get through is blocked. And that's where it stops. And then it'll go back down in its resting place in the tailbone. And I just got so many symptoms on it. I thought, my God, how am I going to separate these? And I thought, I'll just make two. So part of the handouts that they're going to get, one is the spiritual and metaphysical materia medica on grandmother. And it is nothing but I would say that it's about 35% of all of the prover's symptoms
Mm.
were strictly metaphysical, mystic, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And so I made a materia medica on that because I know some people who really know or are interested in it will get a really good feel for what is kundalini, how does it work?
Mm.
And the other one is that the whole materia medica is in there also, along with the spiritual provings as well. And there's 10 handouts that will certainly cover a lot of things that I started with here, but it's going to take you further down the road, I hope, to help you heal and to open up and to really be all that you can be.
Eileen, you just never disappoint. You always blow my mind every time I talk to you. For anyone listening to this, Eileen and I did 7. Eileen did it. I just sat there with my mind being blown for 7 episodes on the Homeopathy Hangout podcast. So if all this about chakras, astral bodies, and things are new to you, you can listen through those 7 episodes, which was on YouTube, but then my channel got taken down. But anyway, you can still listen to the podcast episodes, and they're up on Rumble as well. So if all this is new, you can listen to all those, and Eileen explains what chakras are and how to ground your astral body and all these sorts of things, which is amazing. But
And
this,
I did put in 2 handouts on grounding. One is the astral grounding, which is the long one, and how mothers or fathers can visualize the little tiny silver roots around the child's little tiny chubby ankles and going down and if they need that. But most babies, when they're born, are already connected.
mm,
They're already grounded. It's just
mm,
that when the child life is disrupted and there's shock
mm,
or trauma, that they lose the grounding and then they need to be regrounded. But
mm,
this silver roots one, it's been a long time in trying to put it together in a simple form for the mother or the father to help the child. And when the child's 9 years old, you can teach them to do it for themselves, which is what
mm.
you want. You want them to visualize if they need to be grounded.
I
I tried to
really,
control.
I'm really excited about this remedy, and I love that you've given that little caveat there that people should be careful who they give it to. And I do feel it's important to give us as practitioners just a little bit of a heads up. You don't have to be scared of using a remedy, but I know I always have that heads up with Staph aureus. If I'm going to give that to somebody, I want to make sure they're in a good place
Oh
first and they
yeah,
have a
really.
support network. Because when I
Yeah.
was a new prescriber, I didn't realize the importance of that, and you'd have all sorts of blow ups happening in families. So I do think there's a bit of an extra layer of responsibility. So setting a client up and saying, look, if you're ready to look at some of these things, I can see your healing seems to be blocked. Maybe there is a repressed trauma that's maybe stopping you from healing. And this could be like an obstacle to cure. So if you're ready to address that, and they might quite often, I have a lot of cases in my clinic where people feel they might have had some suppressed sexual abuse because
Right.
maybe one of their siblings was sexually abused by a family member and they think that they might have been, but they're not sure and it was suppressed. And so it sounds like if you give this remedy, these sorts of things will probably come up in your dreams. And if you don't warn a client that this might happen, then it can be a bit of a shock. So I'm glad that you've said that because I do think we have
Oh
a
yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah. She's she is who she is, and she's not for everybody because they just aren't at that level of where they're wanting to work with their wounds and try to be their best person, whoever that is.
Mm.
And then the spiritual part, the kundalini part, just blossoms because the people are working on it. And the provers notes just I sat there and cried sometimes because it was so beautiful. And I thought,
Mm.
God, I've never met anything that resembles this one. And she's been in hiding all these years, but it's her time to come out.
I think you've got another couple of slides there with your books and things on as well. Do you want to flick another couple along just so we can make
Uh
sure it's the
yeah,
one?
here we are.
Excellent. Yeah. So if
This
people
is
want to get hold of your books.
these are the URLs, medical astrology, and my metaphysical stuff. I always use my Native American name, Dawaya, which means walks with wolves.
Mm.
When I wrote something about like soul recovery and Path of the Mystic, And let's see, we got one more, I think.
And if you want to read Eileen's a couple hundred
Yeah,
romance,
yeah.
military romance, which is a genre that has been created by her all by herself, then look for Lindsay McKenna.
All right, thank you. But I'm going to be, I've got down here Kundalini Rising. That's going to be the title of my book on this book of provings and these two materia medicas. And it'll be coming out in 2025. But if they're interested in homeopathy, I've written a number of books on homeopathy, and have fun. And if you love romance and love, because love is the best human attribute we have, that's why I have written so many books about romance in the romance industry. And my books have gone into 33 different foreign
Languages.
printings in
Wow.
33 foreign countries. And that's all I wanted to do. My whole thing was just I want to encourage people to let their heart and to learn to love. We don't need
Mm.
hate. We don't need racism. We just need to be kind to others and ourselves, and that starts the whole thing working. And then grandmother comes in and just throws everything up and goes, oh, work on this, work on that.
And then you can love more. Amazing.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Eileen, thank you so much for your time today. And I really look forward to hearing how people go on this remedy. I know I'm going to email Angie straight after this and order some, hopefully, medicating potency so we can distribute it here in Australia as well.
Good.
But I can't wait to
I would
try.
I would like you to let me know how people are reacting, because this is brand new.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm finding new little branches, just like her tree looks, is there's new things that she does, or different ways to do things, or different way. She's, I don't know, maybe an optometrist who's, you take an eye test and then you get the right lenses so that you see clearly. That's
Mm,
her.
wow.
That's her.
Love it. Love
That's
it.
another way of saying something about
Mm,
her facets. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but send them to me. I
I
really
will
want to know.
do. Thank you so much, Eileen. I love you so much. And it's
Well, I
just been
love you
such a
too.
privilege to speak with you. All
Okay,
the
thank
best.
you for
Bye.
allowing me to share this. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.